Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So as usual, let's just jump right into it. Take a look at what happened with Tesla in the market today and try to figure out what the hell's going to happen next because we are in some choppy market. That's all I'm going to say. So right now we're currently up actually in the aftermarket or after hours, whatever you want to call it. About 0.6, 0.7%, mainly because Facebook reported today. And as usual, you guys know when other techs do well on earnings and they go up something like 8-9% after hours, it pumps up the whole tech sector and the majority of the market that relies on general tech stuff and even some SPY stuff, which of course Tesla is part of, which is why we're pumping. But keep in mind, sometimes these moves on the first upwards like this tend to be kind of a bait. So we'll see what happens. But nonetheless, let's take a look at what actually happened today. Tesla up just honestly 0.6%. We were up substantially more actually. In the middle of the day, I think in the middle of the day we went up as high as like 916. I think it was something like that. Let me double check. I think it was about 916. 918 actually is the highest point of the day, which was good. So essentially what happened was we kind of chopped all around here, and honestly Tesla was holding 900 fairly well, which was good. I actually wanted to see 900 hold. The fact that it didn't is not good, but the fact that we are holding 880 roughly, 880 to 885 is fine. Now the level under 880/885, like that general area, if it doesn't hold very well and it just plummets through, that pretty much means that we're easily going to 850. So that's essentially what you want to be watching out for there. Now you can see we kind of went up to this teal line and got rejected potentially. It could have been a coincidence, but that is what it is. Facebook actually up a nice 8 to 9%. It's really good. I got a super small lotto put on Facebook. But that was almost like a hedge where if it falls, at least I make something on it. But if it skyrockets like this, then Tesla and everything goes up, which is overall net positive for me, substantially more than my put printing, which is nothing compared to my portfolio so far in Tesla. Because yeah. So anyway, regardless. So nonetheless, so taking a look at Tesla. So not the most bullish day, in all honesty. The fact that we went all the way up here, got rejected, and then essentially made a fairly red candle all the way down like this, and pretty much ended at the lows of the day, isn't necessarily good. But with that being said, I do want to make sure that we see 880 hold. Personally, again, I personally still would not be surprised to see a drop down to 850. But I would be surprised if we go much lower than that right now before some bounce. So to me, the realistic worst case scenario right now is a drop to 850 before some form of bounce. I do expect some bounce to happen pretty soon. I don't know if it's tomorrow or... But relatively soon, within the next week-ish, I would say, I expect a bounce. I expect one of this essentially massive drop to essentially have a bounce up to the upside somewhere. Again, like I said, the first level I'll be looking for is essentially that 940 to 950. Breaking that, which I think is possible. I definitely think we can revisit this 973 and turn it into resistance most likely, because it used to be very solid support. You can see here several times, literally 6 times over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and even here we kind of worked it on it a bit, but obviously broke through to the downside. So one thing I had to look at as well, guys, I like the Bollinger Bands, let's say on the daily, for instance, right? So you can see the Bollinger Band, we kind of went all the way up to the green one and it kind of hovered it for a while, and then we retracted back to the white one, and now we're essentially doing the same thing we did here, but with the red line instead, right? Which tells me that, we're probably going to potentially, again, which is why I wouldn't be surprised to see the 850, because, it tends to kind of get to one of these, and then it kind of hugs it for a few days or something like that. In this case, it was a week and a half, but, it tends to hug it a few times, and then it tends to bounce. Wow, Facebook up 11%. That's... Their earnings was pretty mediocre, no, honestly. I don't know why it's up so much, but okay. I'm not complaining. Anyway, so again, I wouldn't be surprised to see 850, but nonetheless, whether it's 850 or whether it's this 880 level, I expect a bounce off of one of these two levels, again up to the mid to potentially slightly higher 900s. Now, taking a look at the moving averages very quickly. So the moving averages that I'm looking at here are the short-term moving averages. This essentially decides momentum. So essentially this would actually fit in with what I'm saying. This is the 5 and the 8 day moving average, right? This essentially shows momentum, and I really wouldn't be surprised if we essentially bounce up to roughly, this general area where these moving averages are. You can see them right here, right at that 970 to 950 area. And that probably is going to get us rejected roughly somewhere around that level, which pretty much will signal the fact that, we're still most likely in a downturn where we lost the bullish momentum and we're essentially kind of riding some bearish momentum at the moment, and then potentially we might actually make lower lows. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But in the short term, I definitely am expecting a bounce sometime soon, sometime pretty damn soon. Let's see how Facebook is actually up 12%. That's really good for the market. But again, keep it in mind, guys. Who knows? Because yesterday, don't forget, we had we had Microsoft and we had one more. I forgot which one it was. It was Microsoft and Google, and Google was plummeting. But then it kind of recovered. Even Microsoft plummeted, but then it recovered. And even though Google still went down, the market was kind of up for the most part of the day. Then it went. So it's not fully indicative yet. We'll have to see how tomorrow opens. It's more important, but a good start. It's a good sign nonetheless. which will help Tesla, of course, tomorrow if this persists and this continues and it doesn't just essentially collapse later on when they do like guidance or something like that. Even PayPal is actually up 2%, which is good for Tesla again, right? It all helps Tesla. It's all in like one massive bucket. If one of them, two of them, or three of them are doing well, like this well, for instance, it pushes up, it lifts up the other boats essentially in the sea. Think of it that way. Anyway, so yeah, so that's essentially what I'm seeing with Tesla. But now the one thing I'm kind of suspicious about, guys, is I'm really suspicious we're going to do a move like this here. Essentially what that means is, you see how we fell down aggressively and then we essentially made a bear flag? I'm kind of worried that that's going to happen here, where we went down really hard and now we're going to start slowly going up like this. And essentially just make another bear flag and essentially just repeat what happened here, back down to the downside. Who knows, probably to like maybe 800 or something like that. I don't know. But that's the one thing I'm kind of worried about, that this is just going to essentially set up a bear flag over the next couple of weeks or so. And then we're just going to plummet off of that. That's essentially that's my current like prediction, if you will, right? Taking a look at the indicators, you have the MACD over here, still looking fairly bearish, still setting lower lows, not showing any really big signs of relief yet. The RSI is trying to, but I wouldn't put too much weight on this. I don't personally think it means a whole lot, in all honesty. So the RSI is, looking more bearish than bullish. So like overall, I still think we're looking more bearish than bullish, aka like on the daily at least, which essentially just means that we're overall, even if we get a bounce, we're still overall in a bearish momentum as opposed to a bullish momentum like we were over here. Right, but again, I do expect to bounce. Now, in case you're wondering what I'm doing, so once we actually did bounce up today twice, on the two bounces today, the first one being here and the second one being here, I ended up cutting a couple losses. What I did was, the shares that I bought with an average price of around 920, it was like 922, I think, average price. I actually ended up cutting at like somewhere around this level here, which was like 12 or something like that. I can't remember, something like that. 910, 912. I ended up cutting it somewhere around there. So I did take a bit of a loss on that. But thankfully I did, because, we obviously went down even further. And I also bought back one of my puts also at a loss. But that's essentially to open up my wiggle room in case we keep following, so that, because I already have other puts that I can exercise most likely at this rate, unless Tesla skyrockets tomorrow and Friday. That will probably get exercised. I'll be buying, a good amount of shares. And yeah, I kind of wanted to kind of free up some extra wiggle room, so in case we continue plummeting, that I wouldn't just be pretty much buying the majority of what I can buy all the way somewhere up here, which is where I'm currently buying. Like right up here is my buy zone currently with those puts that I sold. Buying somewhere in this like 940-ish range to 950. So that essentially opens me up for having a better way. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick. A better way to like average down, in case we keep falling. If we don't, and if we go up from here, then that's good for those shares, of course, and those options essentially. So it kind of gives me more options, more wiggle room, more like ways to play it, less kind of I don't know, like, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, that's not the point. So the point is that that's essentially what I'm seeing, guys. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see 850, but if Facebook can actually hold up and not plummet and kind of ruin everything, and actually hold up this kind of be same with PayPal especially. Yeah, tomorrow we have Amazon and Apple. Apple's gonna be, both of those are fucking huge. Like those, like I'm very suspicious on Amazon. Apple can definitely be doing potentially okay. Amazon, I can't imagine doing too well. There's just no chance. I'll be really surprised. But I also thought Facebook wouldn't do well. So who knows, honestly, in this market? Literally, who the hell knows, honestly? It's just, man, it's anyone's guess at this point, it feels like. But I think Amazon probably won't do super well. Anyway, the point is that I expect that Tesla, regardless of whether we bounce here or we drop to 850, I do expect that one of these key levels to pretty much bounce somewhere up to this middle to potentially the slightly higher 900 range, probably next week or the week after. That's my current prediction. But again, with that being said, I do expect that to essentially just set up another bear flag. There's a chance that we kind of take, a while to do that, and we just kind of hover this teal line as we kind of move up to that area, and then we essentially crash back under it as well. But nonetheless, I expect this to essentially be a bear flag, kind of like this, almost like what we had here. And then probably just, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we fall back down after that again and make a lower low than this, probably like to low 800s. Like that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. Could be completely wrong, of course. Well, we'll see. But that's essentially what I'm currently seeing, guys. I'm not going to lie. Overall, the momentum is looking bearish. Taking a very quick look at the 1 hour chart, because this is kind of giving me a better idea as to shorter term momentum. The daily chart gives you a better idea to like, what it can look like maybe from now and between now and a month in the future-ish. The 1 hour chart is kind of like, well, maybe the next week, maybe two. It kind of, maybe even this week gives you a better idea. And it looks actually exactly the same to me. Like this just looks like a bear flag setup to me. Like it really does. Like after such a big drop like this is just the textbook bear flag situation where we're going to drop here. We made a high here. We actually made a higher low here, which is good. That's actually pretty good. That tells me that there is a decent chance that we just straight up bounce off of this 880, which so far seems to be the case. Definitely a decent chance for that, that we just straight up bounce off of here. And then we're probably going to make a higher high Potentially like from 917, like probably to like 940 to 950. Probably make a higher high, and then overall we're probably just gonna go ahead and something like this, I would say, give or take. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we get all the way up here to like somewhere in this general range, something like that, and then probably just make a bear flag again, similar to what we had here, and then just eventually crack and then fall. That's my current prediction, guys. We'll see what happens, but either way, let me know what you guys think down below. See you for the next one. Peace.